Well, here we are again. This is the, I don't know, fourth reboot, third reboot of Tedium Unlimited. This is going to be different. This one is going to be different. When I started the original Tedium Unlimited, which technically this is the original Tedium Unlimited because there is only the one YouTube channel, but when I started it, the intent was for me to figure out how to do vlogging, how to do travel vlogging. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but in the past I had gone traveling around Taiwan in particular. One year we did a Huandao, and I thought I'm going to make the greatest travel video there is, and it turned out it was absolute crap. I haven't done anything with the footage to this day. For a variety of reasons. But B-roll is the big one. And also A-roll. I mean, not just talking to the camera, but getting shots of us doing things, specifically getting shots of us doing things that aren't us walking away from the camera. There's a lot of butt shots that just are pointless anyway. So the idea was to every day document my life and then kind of learn how to think, to grab B-roll, to stop and say, wait, I want to show you what I'm doing. I need to stop and, why have I got a timer? Oh, I'm taking a nap. That's why. And my timer is telling me it's time to stop taking my nap. So that worked really well. Anyway, and I think it did work. It helped. It certainly helped. It gets the mind into that mindset to do, but that's not what I'm doing here. Although I will probably gradually phase back into that. Right now, I just need to talk to somebody, and I've got my family, but there's reasons why not talking to them about these things. They're just to kind of get it out of my system. I should really go get a friend and go sit and have dinner and shoot the shit for a while, but I also kind of want to document the process. So between the two, here we are. So this one is mostly me talking to camera for now, but I may, expand that into what I'm doing to prepare. I was thinking about rebranding or starting a completely new vlog, and it's too early for that, and I'll explain why. So my wife is a teacher. And she has been a teacher for over 20 years. She's an excellent teacher. I'm not just saying that because familial pride. She is objectively an excellent teacher. And throughout all the years that we have been married, there have been times when she has asked me the question, do you think we ever might move to Taiwan? And I had a job that, if not paid stellarly, it was a good solid job with a good retirement plan, and I had goals and objectives. But I also had some other things, like my dad, who was the sole remaining member of my family, was alive, and he was quite a bit older than her parents. And this is part of the reason, was that she wanted to, she has some familial obligation to her parents, that she's worried about them as they're getting older. And my dad had 10 years on them, and they had each other, and they had her brother and brothers and sisters and, other family members. Whereas in my family, my dad had no one but me. So at the start, that was part of the equation. And then we had our kids, and my dad passed away. Our kids have been growing up. And then it's like, well, I don't want to take the kids out of school in the United States and drop them into school in Taiwan, which would be either difficult for them because they did not speak Chinese, or we'd have to put them in a private international school, which would be expensive. And, my wife could work in Taiwan, but it would be difficult for me to get a job in Taiwan. And so that was it, another barrier. And then as we get close to the end, the kids are getting to be adults. And then it's like, well, they haven't flown the coop yet. And they still haven't flown the coop yet. And when I was 17 years old, when my dad was 17 years old, we both left home. Like, we're ready. Let's go. Get the hell out. He joined the Navy, something I would never do. I went to university. But I left the house the day after I got my driver's license when I was 17. And I didn't really want a driver's license, but it was a necessary piece of the equation to get out. And this was not, on bad terms or anything like that. It's just, I'm ready. I'm gonna get out and go do my thing, and I can't, I don't see that in either of the kids. But we'll talk more about that on another day. But they are both adults, and they both have jobs, and so we're getting closer to the possibility of leaving. And we had looked at Portugal, and because I would really love to get an EU passport, but Portugal is changing, and Portugal is giving problems with, they don't want retired people anymore. They want young, vibrant tech workers, which you can, people who will bring in a lot of money, and they're pushing back the citizenship. 10 years, and it's kind of fading off the radar. And I've been doing more research, and Taiwan is, apart from the whole China or assholes thing, Taiwan is, looking like the right first move. But again, when do you do it? Like, Mel's is thinking of moving out, and yay, flying and going and doing their thing, but will that work? Will they find that's too rough, and if we're gone, have nowhere to go? My son's doing okay, working at Target, living here at home, but do I feel like he's ready? I don't know. Maybe just kicking him out and saying, okay, you guys are on your own is the right answer. I don't know how that would feel, and obviously I don't want to kick them out if they're not ready to go. But coming back to my wife being a teacher, my wife's been teaching at the same school for 10, 12 years. Top-rated school in the country, or top-rated school system in the country. She is an excellent teacher. She's top of their quality in teachers. She's unlike many of the teachers in charter schools. She's a fully qualified teacher, master's degree, and her school is closing at the end of the school year. That's May. And whereas her school has promised to find her a job in one of the other schools in their system, and that wouldn't be too bad, and that's what will happen. But we are using this opportunity to see if she can get a job in an international school in Taiwan. And there are several. There's they range all the way from up in Taipei down through Hsinchu's got quite a demand because they've got a lot of foreign engineers in Hsinchu, but it's kind of a small, sleepy town otherwise. No subways, no big, it's getting there, but it's not Taipei. Taichung is either the second or third largest city in Taiwan. They have international schools. It's not as advanced as Taipei, subway-wise, and the reason I come back to that is because Taipei is absolutely functional without a vehicle. Taichung may not be. Kaohsiung, which is either the second or largest, whichever thing is in the south, also has a school. Kaohsiung's further along with the subway system. They've both got bus systems and rental bikes and whatnot, but they are less pedestrian oriented than Taipei can be, and I would rather be in Taipei personally. But you take what you can get. Anyway, there is a international school job fair being held in Kaohsiung on the 22nd of November. And because of the way Chuan School is closing out, they may or may not lose all their accrued annual leave, of which she has 21 days because she's a teacher and teachers don't take days off. Or dedicated teachers or obsessive compulsive teachers like my wife don't take days off because sub-planning is too much of a pain. So she has 21 days of leave. So she has decided to make a whirlwind trip at my encouraging. Don't make it sound like she's the one. I'm like, no, you should go. It's on the 22nd. She's leaving on the 19th, and she's coming back on Thanksgiving Day, which is, I don't know, the 27th, I guess, this year. I guess that's Thursday. Yeah. So she'll be there about a week. She's going to the International School Fair in Kaohsiung, which is at the south end of the island. All of the schools, pretty much all the schools are there except the one you really want to get into, the Taipei American School. That's the premier school where the children of the diplomats and the children of the big business, big enterprise businesses that are based out of Taipei send their kids. So she's going down for that. She just put in, they have an opening at Taipei American School. She just put in a job application yesterday there. And I'm encouraging this and I'm on board with this, but that does not mean that I don't have concerns about packing up essentially my life of 30, well, it's basically packing up my life since I left for college in the 80s. This is just, this is all a continuation of when I moved out in 1982. I'm sure there's stuff here that I've lugged on from beyond that because I've got my library in there that has books in it going back to junior high school. Well, probably back to high school maybe. I started collecting books in earnest in high school. I'm a bit of a pack rat, and my life and my house, I own it. I own another house. I have all of these things. There's a lot to just pack up and go. And then there are the kids. I think that's probably enough for today. 15 minutes of me rambling. I'm going to come back and I'm definitely going to be talking on more of these topics. But therein lies the problem. Coming back to the thought of why was I saying I might rename this, I was thinking of renaming this The Road to Taiwan, but at this moment we do not know. I think we'll know better after the job fair. Assuming that she can get there because the government shutdown screwed up all the air flights, and United has warned her that sure, your international flight out of San Francisco is rock solid guaranteed. The flight from Phoenix to San Francisco with only a 1 or 2 hour layover, that one might be a little dicey. But fingers crossed that all clears up in time. I think after that, we'll have a better idea. How the reaction she gets there. Right, I don't know how this is going to go. I just don't know how this goes. She is an exceptional teacher on paper. In reality, she is an exceptional teacher. She's extremely experienced. She's, not only is she fluent with an accent, but fluent in English, and certainly capable of teaching people, familiar with the American education system, and has spent, all but 1 year in the American education system. Which is also kind of an advantage because she did her first year of teaching before she was a qualified teacher was in fact at an international school in Taiwan. But the question is, what do they want? Do they want blonde people like they do in Japan? Do they truly want native-born European Americans to create the look and the feel, or do they want people who know how to do the American education style system for the kids that are at the schools? And if it's the latter, then she should be a prime candidate, because not only all of that, she speaks Mandarin fluently, so less babysitting that they have to do with their students in their personal life. And she's a Taiwanese citizen, so no major paperwork to do to sponsor her to come into the country, and you'd think it would be a prime. And that would be true of the other schools, and we'll see how they react when she shows up there. But and also, it's possible that they just want young teachers so they can exploit them, because that's what businesses do. Until next time.